Whew, man, 2022 is almost over. Like, we're actually almost done with 2022. Thank God this year's been something. So, with that in mind, I kind of sat down and kind of topped out my thoughts about the year. And, you saw that video already, but pretty much the whole thing is like now, 2023 is coming up. And 2023 is going to be an even crazier year, not just for Vanguard, but for any TCG in general. Like, you will see soon that there's a bunch of trading card games that are going to drop sometime next year, and they're all going to be heavy hitters in some way, shape, or form. So that's kind of my thought process. I'm just sitting here doing that list, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot that's going to happen. Like, and and I'm gonna put it as bluntly as possible, I think if anything, 2023 will be a major year for Cardfight Vanguard in terms of the market of everything going around, right? There's going to be a lot of games that are vying for a spot, right? That are doing a lot of crazy marketing, right? If you've seen Battle Spirit Saga on Twitter, you know they are marketing their behind off to try and make this game succeed here. And that is, that's obviously admirable, right? And so thinking about that, I'm like, man, Vanguard really needs to kind of step its game up here. Vanguard and Bushiroad, to an extent, need to kind of step up their game and, go crazy and fix some of the kind of personal issues I've had throughout the past year that I've kind of looked at and yeah, no, this needs to be fixed. Otherwise, this game's kind of not in danger, but it's definitely going to go down on the list of TCGs that are in the high ranks, right? Right. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know how else to say it, but there's some issues that Vanguard really needs to address, at least in the next 2 years, but definitely to start within 2023. That I think can actually be very helpful for the series itself. So, firstly, I made up five things. Five things. I've thought of five things that I think Bushy can do in 2023 and beyond to kind of help, I guess you could say revitalize Cardfight Vanguard here. So, number one, and this is kind of an interesting one, so stay with me on this, is change the set ratios in some way. Now, you're probably wondering, what does that mean? And this is what I mean. For the past year, ever since Set 5 dropped, more so Set 4, excuse me. But when Set 4 dropped, we got a whole lot less of things, if you can understand what I mean. Right? Because we got 15 triple rares in a set, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger as time goes on. Excuse me. Especially since we do not know what the rate for Set 9 Dragon Tree Invasion is going to be, but we can already tell it's going to be a pretty big set. That being said, to me, one of the biggest issues with the game right now has to do with getting access to cards. Ever since that Set 4 dropped and has only stayed with those ratios, we've gone from 8 triple rares a case to down to 4. Or possibly 6. Now, that's a problem because as time goes on, you're going to see there have been less and less people actually buying cases. Not buying cards, but buying cases. So these actual cards in these sets, there's not already, that value has gone down, and then you add in these set ratios being 6 things, so that's adding up to less and less play sets of these cards going around for people, which is a very big problem. So my idea is, in some way, Bushiroad needs to address this somehow, either by changing the ratios back to lesser triple rares in a set, as in go from back to 15 battles to at least 10. I think that original idea was perfectly fine. I get eventually it had to be done. I'll talk about that in a second, but it just really became an issue. And I look at some of these cards that are triple rares, I'm like, some of these should not be triple rare, right? Like, I don't think some of these decks needed more than one triple rare at best. And even then, some of those triple rares should have just been double rares or lower. Because that's another issue I have with these, these sets, is these commons that are being released in these sets are kind of pointless. They really are. Like, some of them are like, oh, I just gained 5k for breathing. Okay, that's cool. What else do you do? Anyway, yep. So that's another thing that really like irks me about that, is just the amount of sets that come out with a lot of lower rarity cards not really being impactful or anything. Like, they don't have to be really impactful, but they just have to be like considerations, right? I open up a pack and I'm literally just like throwing away these commons. Not like back in the day where like I look at the pack, I open it, and it has like a wall text that could be like really useful or something, right? That's how it was back in like G. That's how it was, like, heck, even in some points of V, whereas like you had cards in the common and rare slot that were more than just some generic staples like PGs or some triggers. Like, I feel like if you really want these, I feel like if one thing that kind of helped this game works is you gotta put some of these triple rares that are useless and put them in lower rarities. I already fear for what's going on with the Dragon Tree deck that's going to happen, because there's no reason why any of these cards should be triple rares. I don't care if they're cool cards, but in cool generics, they shouldn't be triple rares. Like, they're not built like that. I don't know what has happened in Bushiroad's like R&D to think that these cards are going to be busted with the Dragon Tree deck. But even so, why are they triple rare for these nation generic cards? That's insane. Like, either you have to revert those back or add more triple rares into a box. We're still on 4 triple rares a box, but we have so many more triple rares. That's insane. You gotta cut some of those down. You gotta either increase the triple rares per box, or you've got to cut the triple rares that are actually in the set down and put them down to lower rarities. Otherwise, that's just really going to hurt the game in the long run. Because now, as more and more people start not buying cases, right? I'm not trying to say like, oh, go buy a case, go spend your money. I'm trying to say that people are literally just not buying as many cases, right? They're all waiting for singles because that's the smart thing to do with their money. Only for that to kind of add to a feedback loop that goes into the next point, which is point 2. Reprint these cards. There are so many cards in current standard Vanguard that just, because of the higher rarity bumps that they should have, that being promos, being just good generic staples of any kind, are just increasing in money, increasing in value. And while that's good to an extent, it's also hard for people to kind of come into the game, and you can see that. Not only come into the game, but it's hard for people to even stay in the game, right? I've seen so many people on Twitter kind of say straight up like, I can't really stay in line with the game because these staples or like these cards that I want to play for my deck are just so expensive, right? We kind of take a look at Brainwash Whirler. Brainwash Whirler is just a better version, better quote unquote, of a card that released back in 2012. That card was a double rare, maybe a rare at best, when it got reprinted sometime down the line, but it still wasn't commanding $40 on the market because it was inflated because of its rarity bump. Like, it just wasn't the case like that, and that's crazy to me. And as time goes on, eventually that card is going to increase in price. And then let's also take a look at the promo situation. The promo situation is a disaster, right? Like, you have so many like staple, I say to this, like, staple the definition of stable is different from everybody, right? It could go between, oh, it's just a really powerful card that just fits in a lot of decks, or it's literally a card that literally allows the deck to function. And there have been a lot more cards similar to this that have been printed as promo cards, and it's insane. And the Craycross Epic ones are the ones that like legitimately get me upset, because they're promos, and you know what? Promos are fine. But the fact that Craycross Epic came, then set 8 dropped, which is a Craycross Epic related set, and you saw kind of some trash units in there, when you could have reprinted those promos into that set for a set that literally deals with them. And it becomes so much better for the game that they're accessible for people who don't have a locals to go to, that don't have, you know, the ability to go to drive an hour to go to the nearest locals, because again, the game is arguably drying up in some places, right? That's just the reality it is. And I'm not trying to doom post, I'm just trying to say how it is. It's insane that so many of these cards are just unaccessible. And then you get to and then they're in random packs too, so it makes the pricing go even higher. Who is going to, like, the fact that Ava, a deck that was literally like $2 for its main boss and her boyfriend, now is pushing like 10, 20, and then its promo costs 30 because it's so good. It's become a tier 1 deck just from that one promo alone, that and a combined rusher. But the fact that is the case is insane. And it makes me wonder what did Bushiroad think was going to happen as they continue to keep this going. Like, yeah, I know the whole thing is you want people to go to locals to do shops and whatnot. And that's fine, I understand that. But when it translates over here to the West, as opposed to Japan, where you have a multitude of transportation systems, right? You can go on a train in Japan and be there at locals, right? You don't have to drive, right? You can probably walk there, depending on where you live. There's so many locals you can go to where you can just run out games, right? You can't do that in America. Like, you just can't. You can't do that in America, you can't do it in Europe. You can't do that right now. So it's like you have to find a different way to distribute these things besides just being a one-time shop turning thing. And that's why you need reprint sets. And that's why I said in my ranking list, I think the festival collection onwards from now on should be a reprint set for standard, because the festival collection has had just jank cards that don't do anything. The only time it was actually really relevant, was because you got the Orphis and the Zorga triple rare that were new cards for the deck, right? But outside of that, those cards weren't really necessary. Like, they weren't really strong, they weren't really crazy, they weren't really impactful. You really want something that to celebrate the year the game has had. And I think the only way you do that is by reprinting really cards that have been in the game, that have been high priced, that promos that shouldn't be the way they are promoted. I think you could actually get some value off of that. And if you do at least once a year, eventually the price will get itself back together and help make the game more accessible for people. Because right now it's not. And that's the biggest problem with a card game. If you can't get new people into your card game, that's the issue. And that was the whole point of the original 5-star decks, was to get new people into the game in a cheaper way. I say we've probably been more spoiled on having cheap cards for years, but even then, like, it's still hard for people to accept getting into a game like this. Especially, again, like I said, especially when you have all those games that are going to come out next year, they're going to look way more appealing. Going to look way more appealing than anything, right? I can't. If I told someone who wants to play Flagberg, oh, you want to play Flagberg? Yeah, sure. Just pay $120 for 4 cards. That's hard to say to anyone. Pay a card payment for a 4 for your deck, in addition to any other like main staples like PGs, these, the triggers, and etc. It's actually insane. I can't do that. Number three is kind of a weird one, because I know they can't really do it as effectively right now, but I'm saying like probably start processing and working towards actually having this be the case, is stream more events. I like when BRO season came around, because BRO was fun as a viewer to watch my game on Twitch and like watch people play it live, right? Because I can either sit in a call and talk to my homies, I can watch her Twitch chat, etc. Like, that sounds really enticing for people, right? Especially when like content creators can co-stream or like live view, where you can be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to watch this here, and we're just going to talk about it, and we're going to have a discussion, right? The whole thing of live viewing and co-streaming in 2021, 2022, I've seen from other games, is actually a pretty nice way for, more people to kind of talk about the game and, expose people to the game. I think that should be a good thing that happens. But that only really happens when you're able to stream games or stream events, right? Like, I know it's probably so early that I don't think like you can do it for Springfest, but I think for like BRO, BRO is already streamed. BCS, excuse me. But the BCS season, besides just Worlds, I think that is always I think just having more eyes be able to see the game is always an important thing. And I think streaming events is really giving a key part in that, right? I would love for, someone to actually watch at home some rounds of, say, Springfest in Chicago or Springfest in Atlanta, right? That didn't go to that, but want to actually like see the events unfold in person some way, especially since you do have dates they're going, dates and you've had years of history of what the big events are, right? New York, Texas, Atlanta, right? You can always just go you can stream at least, probably choose 3. How about this? Choose 3 events that are going to be big in the season. Like, say, choose New York, Atlanta, and Texas. Or like New York, Chicago, Texas. New York, Cali, Texas. Right? Choose 3 places. Choose 3 to 4 places in either America or Europe. I don't really know European places. I know France, Paris. That's all I got. That's all I got for you. I'm sorry. But, choose places where like people are able to like stream and like have actual Bushiroad staff set up a stream. Or like how I know people can, this happened earlier like this year, which was like people actually like bringing their own stream setup and streaming the event. Just do that. Have a form where it's like, hey, do you wish to stream? Do you wish to like sign up for streaming an event? Sign up here and we'll let you know, right? Sign up here, we'll let you know all the details, etc. about these events. This is all the legal stuff. Sign it, bam. Come that weekend. and you can stream it, right? Understandable, right? If you just really want to do it as a volunteer, you can do that. Like, that's happened for years, where people just volunteer to just stream events, right? And it's, you know, it's not like it doesn't see views. It's like, just see the views. It's kind of there. Like, you can be like, hey, you can stream this on your channel, but you gotta give us the VODs, right? You gotta, like me, like, send us the VODs, you know, download the VODs, you know, give it to us, and we'll take it from there, right? Like, there's ways you can handle it, and I think starting to, like, stream more and more events is going to be a critical piece in actually, like, helping promote the game, which goes to the fourth point: promote the damn game. I'm not really. I'm sorry, that was very blunt, but that's what I mean. Like, especially in the Western side of things, right? It's been, like, I get what you were trying to do with Overdress Season 1. I get what you're trying to do with StartDecks. But it didn't really, like, work when you just stopped promoting, right? The StartDecks are cool, but Overdress obviously did not work as well as intended. But it feels like the promotion with the game just kind of slowed down. And I don't really... It obviously is slowed down for years, but it's like, it's definitely feels like after that attempt at the start, like, it's just slowed down completely. And I don't really think that's a great idea. I think what should happen is that there's more promotion. I know, like, at this point it's impossible because it's on TV, plus TV is dying anyway, so it doesn't matter. But if you need, like, you know, at least, like, stuff on, like, anime sites, etc., like, you should do it, right? Keep promoting the game. Like, I know, like, we got some things with Giga and all that, but, you know, more promotions is gonna be nice. I don't know how you do it in the current state of things, but I feel like something has to change, right? This is kind of like a weird one, because, like, I don't know, like, what promotion does here at this point, because, you know, it's been 10 years of this game. At this point, you know, 10 years, it's hard to really, like, be like, hey, you know, can you promote this product, etc., right? I don't know, try and do what Magic attempted to do, which is, like, you know, send a box of Vanguard to, like, Rexon 34 or something, you know, just send them some free product. They'd be like, hey, you want to open this? You know, we just want to talk, you know, want you to kind of open the games, look at it, see what you think, etc., like, just sends the product out to some people and give them a play, right? In fact, even better, send product out to your content creators we know exist. And, like, be like, you know, hey, you know, here's a big release. Here's a box. Open it. You know, that's how you just do it. That's how some games just do it. You know, it's not all the time, but, you know, maybe once in a while. I'm not trying to make this something like, you know, hey, give me some free stuff. No. I'm just saying, like, just do a little bit more of that every once in a while, you know? That's just way more impactful than you think it is. You know, that's kind of the real deal. You know, also is real more impactful than you think it is, and this is the fifth one, and this is pretty much going to be the last one, which, you know, I'm not a lot of people are going to think about it as being more impactful, but I think it's going to be pretty impactful, is we need more variation in products. And I'm not talking about, like, cards or anything. I mean more so, like, fan products, like figures, t-shirts, you know, more than just sleeves and some occasional stickers, right? We need more than that, right? All sleeves, matte stickers, we need more than just that, right? We had we know about the infamous, not infamous, but, like, the famous Minerva figure, right? That figure is high quality, it's amazing, and it's for a very popular unit. And it was the only one ever created for the past 7-8 years. Why is that not happening with any other, like, unit in the game? Right? We could have got one for Chronojet, for Altmile, for Asha back in G. We could have had a Blaster Blade. But the fact that Blaster Blade doesn't have a figure is kind of insane, don't you think? The main figure of the franchise, right? Our Dark Magician doesn't even have a figure. Not a Dragonic Overlord. Heck, I don't know why we don't have plushies or something of the units too, like Wingull or Chronodran and everything. All the plushies I've seen have been fan-made plushies. Why are there no official plushies? Why can't I not snuggle with Dran, damn it? Why can I not actually just like have my own little Wingull plushie that I can just like have here on the desk and like, you know, something to like promote things, right? It's crazy to me how much Bushi has not actually like done more than just the usual, you know, small little figure stands, right? They probably started to do that around this year, but like outside of that, they've only just been doing sleeves and play mats and some stickers and some little promotion stuff with other stuff in Japan. But outside that, nothing was there. Like the figure like market has been crazy, right? There's so many figures you could probably get for cheap, right? I mean, you could probably make for cheap, right? Like, you know, we see all the time, like, there are figures that are like $30 and they're still at least decent quality, right? I feel like the biggest issue with Vanguard is there's nothing that promotes the IP overall, right? We get cards and everything, but, you know, this is supposed to be a multimedia franchise like Yu-Gi-Oh! I see do you know what I felt when I saw so many like Yu-Gi-Oh! Sexual figures of Yuma, Tori, Astral, Kite, and Photon, Galaxy Photon Dragon, Blue Eyes White Dragon? The Charmers are getting figures. The Charmers will have more figures combined than any of Cardfight Vanguard. That is wow. That's actually like, that's a mess, dog. I don't even know how else to say it. I'm speechless that that's even a possibility in 2022. That the Charmers, the 4 Charmers, some flip effect monsters that no one gave a damn about, like back in 2008, are going to have more product figures than all of Cardfight Vanguard put together. To me, that's kind of acceptable in this modern year, where like one of the biggest things about making sales is everything outside of the anime, right? A lot of games make their money off of Blu-rays and DVDs, off of like other stuff like figures, out of other merchandise. Like, we need more merchandise. Like, straight up, like, we need more merchandise than just regular, you know, sleeves, mats, and stickers. Like, it's actually insane that we're still at this point where our only figure is from 10 years ago. Like, I've seen more God Eater figures, and God Eater is a franchise that basically is kind of dead, or at least like in a hiatus, right? So that's kind of, those are my 5 like really thoughts, right? Those are my 5 things of like what I think Bushiroad should try and do in 2023 and beyond to try and help grow the brand and compete with all the other games that are going to be there. Because, you know, gameplay I think is really good, right? And that's how you get people to stay, but you need something to get people in the door, right? You need people to see some cheaper prices in this game, right? You need to know that there's going to be more rotation of cards in the system. You know, you need to know that there are events happening more than just your obviously like every occasional tweet. You need to know that the game exists at all, and you definitely need to know that, yeah, you can buy yourself a Tokuha figure. You can find yourself a Tokuha figure online and go crazy. Alright, but that's kind of it. You know, this is pretty much the last video of 2022. We're gonna start going ham in 2023. First week will be a brand new series, and I can't wait for y'all to see it. So on that note, thank y'all. What do y'all think about what Bushiroad can do for Vanguard 2023 and beyond? You know, let me know in the comments. You know, if you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.